the big thing everyone's paying attention to this week is the Bad Batch season 3 trailer.
Yes,
which had more in it than I thought would be in it. And I watched it a couple of times.
It had about 1,000% more lightsabers than I expected.
Yeah, and there was a big reveal. So let's talk about the thing at the end that everyone's talking about. Asajj Ventress,
yes,
apparently back.
I was gonna say, isn't she dead?
She is apparently, yes. So let's talk about this for a second.
Okay.
In the book,
explain to me the lore.
Dark Disciple.
Okay,
is a book by Christine something. I can't remember.
It's a book. Go read it.
It's good. So. At one point, Asajj Ventress kind of figures out that Count Dooku is a prick. Mm-hmm. So she breaks up with him.
Okay.
Goes off on her own.
Understandable.
Yeah. And ends up not being as evil as people thought she was.
Okay.
And then there's this whole thing where she kind of she shows up in Clone Wars and there's a thing. But she kind of walks off into the sunset to do her own thing. And in this book, the Jedi Council orders Quinlan Vos to assassinate Count Dooku.
Okay.
And they're like, it would be a really good place to start to find out where he is and like how you might want to do that.
Asajj
Ventress. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, don't fuck her or fall in love with her. And he's like, why would you tell me not to do that?
That's awful specific.
Yeah. And they're like, just don't. And he's like, okay, whatever.
All right, fine.
So he finds her.
And he falls in love with her and fucks her.
Yeah. And so at the end, she's killed.
Okay.
And in his arms.
Yes.
She dies saving him after having fell in love with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes her body to Dathomir. And she is laid to rest in the waters of Dathomir with her sisters and shit.
Okay, so there's some nice sister shit going on.
So the supervising director of Bad Batch, Brad Rao, said, and I quote, "We don't want to spoil anything, but want fans to know that any storytelling with Ventress will align with the events of Dark Disciple."
Okay.
Which is very interesting.
So she died.
Yeah.
She died once, but she got better.
Right. Now, I've seen a bunch of memes who are like, oh my gosh, Star Wars is messing with the canon and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, first of all, that is Star Wars' favorite pastime.
Like, they define what canon is.
Yes. Star Wars from Empire Strikes Back is the biggest retconner in all of film history, right? The "no, I am your father" retcon. That was not originally the case.
Vader betrayed and murdered your father.
Leia and Luke being sisters and not fuck buddies. Mm-hmm. That was not originally planned like that. Fucking from a certain point of view. Mm-hmm. All that bullshit. So first of all, don't get your panties in a twist. Like these events didn't happen in real life. Like they're fictional events. So you got to change them around to make them, to make it internally consistent. Right. And that's fine. You suspend your disbelief. It's not a big of a deal. So how then, right? How and what?
I assume it's just Night Sister shit.
That's my thing too, is like Night Sister magic is a hell of a drug. Yeah. And that's probably what it is.
I mean, we just saw it on fucking Ahsoka, right?
Exactly. Right.
There's all sorts of witchy shit going on.
So there's that whole thing going on, right? And I also noticed that she's wearing a shoulder pauldron in the trailer, because there's that cool hero shot with her, and she's got the yellow lightsaber, which she has in Dark Disciple.
Okay.
But it's not the one with the curved hilt.
Yeah.
Because the yellow has a special significance for her, because she doesn't follow the Sith, but she doesn't follow the Jedi either. That doesn't mean she's a gray Jedi. It just means that she's not really, she's like all those guys in real life who are like, I don't really do religion, but they're still kind of spiritual, right? That's Asajj Ventress, pretty much, right?
Makes sense.
And so the yellow, that's what kind of means for her and shit.
It means that she's an edgy outsider. She doesn't subscribe to any. She doesn't subscribe to your binary political thinking.
Exactly. Or religious or whatever. Yeah.
What I'm saying is Asajj Ventress is a non-binary icon.
Yes. Which maybe kind of is. Yeah. So she's got the shoulder pauldron that has a snake on it, and from some supplementary Clone Wars materials from a while ago, it's the whole thing behind it is that snakes are misunderstood. They're assumed to be evil, and they're often not, which is absolutely true. We at my house, we have a rule: we do not kill snakes in our backyard, because they are terrified of humans. They rarely ever bite, and they are usually a net good to the ecosystem, because they keep rodents and shit and bugs and shit in check.
Fewer rodents for your dogs to kill.
They like to throw snakes up in the air. like I saw this once. Like I looked out the window and like it was in the summer or something. There was a snake out there, and we avoid him with the lawnmowers and stuff. And my dog Brecker was like tossing one, which he's done that to a he's done that to a possum before as well. He just likes to throw things up in the air. So
he likes to play with his murder victims.
Yeah. So getting into the Asajj Ventress thing, Night Sister magic. Okay.
Yeah.
And if that's the reason, fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's none of this shit is real. The Force isn't real. Night Sister magic isn't real. It
works as if the writer wants it
to. George Lucas's favorite writing device was the Force, right? So that's fine. Yeah. Her relationship with Quinlan Voss will be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Because I wonder if they'll actually explore that though.
It would be cool. Now, okay, so you might
because like Quinlan Voss is dead, right?
We don't know. We don't know anything about where he is.
In fact,
yes.
On.
Yep.
I'm thinking about Kenobi in the safe house.
Yes.
Was his name?
You didn't read my notes, did you? Because that's the next thing on my notes. Yeah. No, his so there's that whole storyline in Obi-Wan where they have the
Jedi Underground Railroad,
right? And he goes into the room and all the Jedi like carve their names in there, and Quinlan Voss was like, Quinlan was here, suck my dick. So he's still alive canonically at some point.
Yes.
Right. So he survived
Order 66.
Order 66. Right. So is he going to show up? Because that would be pretty fucking cool. Quinlan Voss, by the way, is kind of a badass. I'd love to see him.
My problem with that is that this show has been about the Bad Batch and Omega, and the more lightsabers you start throwing at it, the less those characters like mean anything.
Yeah. Yes, you're not wrong, but also I'm pretty sure they're the point of this season is going to lead straight to Force cloning Sith magic stuff. So So there's a shot at the beginning. They're in the middle of an adventure. I bring this up because Crosshair is in the shot with them with his armor on.
Yeah.
So at some point, Crosshair, because we leave him at Mount Tantus with Omega.
Yes.
Right. So at some point, Crosshair escapes and comes back to the Bad Batch.
Which of fucking course.
Yeah. I called this a lot when we were talking about season 2 when it was coming up. He's like, it's like there's no way, especially with Tech dying, they needed an extra guy and everything, so that makes sense. There's a shot of Omega flying a ship, but she has longer hair, which in TV always means there's the passage of time.
Passed.
Yeah. And with the line over, Omega's been waiting for us for a long time. So like, was Crosshair rescued, but Omega was left behind, or maybe she stayed, like she chose to stay, maybe to make sure that Crosshair could escape? Because there's a one shot of them crossing each other, like in the hallway at Mount Tantus, and they're trying not to look at each other and shit. Wanda Sykes' character's back, Fee, and I assume
good for her,
is real pissed that someone killed her boyfriend.
Yeah.
There's a cool orbiting spaceship over Coruscant. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's
it's cool looking.
It probably belongs to Palpatine or the Empire. Burning building. I thought this was interesting because the architecture design is from Jabba's palace. Like it looks like Jabba's palace, but they're not on Tatooine, and it's definitely not Jabba's palace because it's like on the top of a mountain or something.
Yeah, it might be the same weird spider monk robot guys that
on a different planet or something. Right? Yeah. They of course have to remind us that Tech died, so there's a shot of him falling and dying. Look, don't be surprised if they bring Tech back.
I'm hoping they don't.
I kind of hope they don't too, but I'm just saying, don't be surprised. Palpatine fucking shows up in this. He's like,
for the first time since like the first episode of season 1,
right?
I think.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. So he's probably visiting Mount Tantus. He's got his fucking royal guard and everyone's lined up and everything. He talks about he says something about nothing is more important than securing the future, and he's obviously talking about
cloning himself.
Right.
Yes.
So these are the names of the episodes.
Okay.
So there's a 3-episode premiere.
Yes.
Confined, Paths Unknown, Shadow of Tantus.
Okay.
And by the way, if you know anything
makes
about
it
Tantus,
sound like somebody's leaving Tantus.
Yeah. If you know anything about Tantus, you know it's from Heir to the Empire. It was in Legends, Palpatine's old cloning facility where Thrawn cloned a mad Jedi.
Luke.
No, not
Joris Sabaoth.
Yeah. Siobath.
So Siobath?
Siobath.
Is that his name?
It is pronounced in a new re-recording of the audiobook.
Okay.
A different approach. The Return. And then there's a 2-episode week where they do infiltration and then extraction.
Okay.
Which is probably where someone's rescued, right? Bad Territory, The Harbinger, Identity. This is another 2-episode week, Identity and then Point of No Return.
Okay.
And then Juggernaut. And then the last 3 or 4 are 3. Into the Breach, Flash Strike, and The Cavalry Has Arrived, which is premiering on May 1st. Which is just a few days before May the 4th.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure there's going to be they're going to be laying a lot of groundwork to make the Palpatine cloning thing happen.
Yeah.
So
this would be the place to do it.
Yeah. Prepare yourself for big reveals that could tie into Ahsoka season 2, the Thrawn film.
Trying to justify the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Mandalorian season 3. Like those, they're laying the foundation for these stories. So pay attention. It's probably going to be huge.
Well, the retroactive foundation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They built the top of it first. And
they're like, shit, this is going to fall if we don't do something. And they're like hammering up some planks.
That's not how you build buildings.
We left out my favorite part of the trailer, which is a fucking Wrecker jumping on a train or onto a ship ramp or something.
Yeah. There were a lot of shots I left out that I wasn't like, they weren't necessarily like, they didn't necessarily
it's just
catch
funny looking, not moving the story along or anything.
So Ben says Palpatine's in